Billy Cunningham, the great American. Kerry Lutz is an expert on the economy and author of Forget Wall Street, Go for the Gold and Silver too. He's also a radio talk show host in West Palm Beach, Florida. And Kerry Lutz, welcome to the Bill Cunningham Show. Hey, Lutz, how are you?
All right. How you doing, Bill?
Good. Kerry, talk to me about this past week and give me your Obamacare predictions and what we can do as normal Americans to protect ourselves against the president.
Well, if you've got insurance, you better go start seeing every doctor you possibly can. If you think after the first of the year you might have an ingrown toenail, you better go to the podiatrist today, because it's potentially going to be chaos after the first of the year. You don't know whether you're going to have insurance or not, and what that insurance is going to cover, what your deductible is going to be, what your copay is going to be. Co-insurance, that's a new term that you're going to have to learn. I mean, it's just insanity what's going to be going on after the first of the year.
And, Kerry, at this point, we're just dealing with the individual market, which is small. The big enchilada in this country is employer-based coverage. Isn't that also going to take a hell of a hit? That's more than 90 million Americans.
Yeah, but it's already going to start because the prices are going to go up, because those employer policies are still going to have to conform to Obamacare. They're still going to have to cover you for pregnancy, for birth control pills, for all that stuff. Just because the employer mandate has been put off for a year, the policies are still going to have to conform. Though that requirement hasn't been put off.
No. And in fact, I made the point about a half an hour ago that I'm a healthy 65-year-old male. And when I shop for insurance, I don't want gynecological services. I don't want lactation services. I don't want BCPs, birth control pills. I don't want Viagra or Cialis. I don't want a policy that covers mental health. God bless, at this point, I don't think I'm insane. I don't want all this other stuff. But every Obama-compliant policy has got to provide all those services to everybody, which means people like me that's likely not to need a pap smear is going to pay for it, so a woman doesn't have to pay.
Yeah, I mean, all this was in the bill, and it was hushed up, but I knew it 3 years ago, and I'll tell you, Bill, since the summer, I've just been seeing every specialist that I possibly could. I had a stress test. I've had umpteen blood tests. I'm going to see an interventional cardiologist next week. These are the things that you need to do, because who knows how long it's going to take to see doctors after the first of the year, and you're probably going to be paying out of pocket for most of your health care. Maybe the hospitals will be taking it. It's just an impossible situation that you're facing after the first of the year.
And Kerry, isn't the goal of Obama and Harry Reid and Nancy Pelosi to have a single-payer system in which the federal government has as its employees doctors and nurses and labs, much like the DMV controlled by the government, instead of having a private system? Are they overwhelming the system on purpose, which is one of the rules of Saul Alinsky? Overwhelm the system, then the people return to government to solve their problems?
I mean, I know that's the theory. And look, that's the ultimate goal. But I don't think they intended to create chaos right now in the short term to bring that about. That's the ultimate purpose. But I don't think they intended to create Healthcare.gov epic fail to bring that about right now, to say, we've got to create Medicare for all because we screwed up so badly. I don't think that was the immediate plan here. Yeah, 3-5 years down the road.
You thought they could actually pull this thing off?
Well, I think that they live in an alternative universe where Dear Reader makes a proclamation and it's carried out by elves. It just happens. Because you got to understand, Bill, this administration has the least number of business leaders of any administration in history. These people are academics, they're college professors, or they're just ideologues who don't really understand how things get done in the world. They don't understand how a computer gets built, developed, planned out, created and marketed to the public. They don't live in the world that you and I live, of entrepreneurs, of capital allocation, of business plans, of risk. They just think that it's a command and control economy. They think that the Soviet Union, if only it had the right people, it would have been a real success. And they think that communist China is all command and control. They don't understand that that the success that China has realized in the past 30 years has not come about from the Chinese government. It's come about because the Chinese government has gotten out of the way. They don't have any understanding of economics and the way that wealth truly gets created. They think that wealth gets created by the flourish of a government pen.
Larry Kudlow, who I respect a lot, CNBC, I won't say he's a friend of mine, but we speak, told me the whole thing's going to collapse. And I said, Larry, I hope it collapses, but if it doesn't collapse because the Democrats take over the House in a year, imagine the last 2 years of the Obama presidency if Nancy Pelosi is the Speaker of the House and Harry Reid controls the Senate, or Chuck Schumer. That means whatever monies the system needs to be successful, they're going to get the printing presses going, more taxes, more rules and regulations. Do you see the possibility of the Democrats taking the House a year from today, which means they can do whatever they want with Obamacare to make it work by printing trillions of dollars of more money?
I think the chickens are going to come home to roost here, because I don't believe that this system is going to work come November 31st. Healthcare.gov is not going to work in its originally envisioned form, and they're going to have to do something really drastic. They're going to have to cut this thing back, or we're just going to have chaos. And these millions of people right now, Bill, who are, you're losing your policy, and they're saying, oh, those were junk insurance policies. Well, not to the people who had them, and not to
me.
Yeah, and not to me either. And it's easy to say it, and not to these people working for companies that are going to see their health insurance contributions go up, not to those people the spouses of the UPS employees who are seeing their coverage get dropped, tens of thousands. These are millions of people. So, right now you can't look at, and I'm not pro-Republican, don't get me wrong, because I think these are two crime families fighting over turf, like you see in
like
New York City.
It's like Italian Banzini and Corleone and
Yeah.
Salazzo. They're just fighting over. And you're right, because the Republicans have laid down and played dead. They're not artful dodgers. They don't have a good system. We had a system that was good for 90% of us and a system bad for 10%. Now he wants to make a system bad for 100%. Instead of taking the 90% with a good system and do some marginal changes for the 10%, he wants to destroy everything.
Yeah, that's equality, right?
Yeah. That's the communist way of life. Take a look at the cars made by the Soviet Union. Whenever the government takes over an entire industry, I can guarantee you quality goes down and the price goes up.
Yeah,
That's what always happens.
You wind up riding a Treblanka that's held together with toothpicks and chewing gum. Forget it. I mean, this thing is just going to be a nightmare. I predicted this, by the way, in April of this year, and that's when I started doing my plans. The first thing you need to do is, if you're overweight, I don't care how you have to do it, you got to lose weight. You got to get rid of your type 2 diabetes. However it takes to lose that weight, you have to do it, because, come after the first of the year, these death panels, whatever you want to call them, they're alive and well, and they're going to dictate your access to care. And the chaos that's going to ensue here, you might be going to Mexico for your health care. I mean, I don't know what's going to be. Nobody out there can really predict what's going to happen here. Oh. And my friends, my retired friends that I meet with daily at Starbucks, they've all lost their Medicare Advantage plans. United Healthcare has fired all the doctors. They had this silver sneaker plan. They could go to the health club. That's gone. Originally they said, oh, we're on Medicare, it's not going to affect us. wrong. You're on Medicare, you're going to be affected. Increased waiting time for cataract, for knee replacement, for hip replacement. I mean, this thing has the potential, and I don't want to be a scaremonger because that's not the right way to handle these things. You don't want to be panicking, but you want to take precautions in case the thing really comes unwound because...
Well, Kerry, let's jump ahead 2 months. Let's say it's January the 3rd, January the 5th. It's March, April, May of next year. What do we do?
Yeah, well, you might want to be thinking if you need these procedures and they become difficult to get in the U.S., you might want to be thinking about going and visiting Johns Hopkins in Panama or perhaps Thailand or Singapore or other places that you can pay for it out of pocket. You need to start studying and planning. And if it's surgery that you can move it up earlier and get it done now. You need to start thinking about these things because there is a potential for a meltdown in the system because, look, they shut down the government. We almost defaulted. Now, you can argue whether Ted Cruz and Mike Lee were right or wrong, but I tell you what, if things go as badly as they could possibly go come March or April, these guys might be looking like heroes because they could be in the position to say, we tried to save you from this. This is exactly why we were doing what we were doing. Nobody listened. The Democrats wouldn't listen. The Republican leadership wouldn't listen. This is what you wound up with. You can't trust any of these. And I think it could open up the third party possibility for a presidential run by somebody, perhaps Ted Cruz.
Kerry, Lutz, we got to run, but the book is Forget Wall Street, Go for the Gold and the Silver, too. You have a website?
Sure do. FinancialSurvivalNetwork.com.
I got it out there to the American people. Kerry, Lutz, good luck to you, and you're a great American.
Thanks so much, Bill. You are, too.
God bless you.
This is the Sam Malone Show on AM 1070. The Answer.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. 7:35. Glad you're with us. Boom. Go to line 3. Get Dee, get her take on things from the weekend of lies. Dee, welcome aboard. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday, Sam. Happy anniversary week.
Oh, thank you. I put that on Facebook. My wife and I are celebrating our 23rd wedding anniversary this week, so it has to. You have to have a whole week of anniversary.
Yeah.
You can't have a day.
Definitely. Definitely. 23 years, yes, definitely.
What do you got? What do you bring?
23 weeks of
yeah, right.
Yeah.
23. Let me tell you something. In Princess's world, it should go, 23 weeks. That's a good idea. I like that.
Yeah, I think you should get her something for 23 weeks. Starting today, get her something for 23 weeks.
Well, when I had my 50th birthday in May, we had 50 days of 50 birthdays. She got me a different bottle of scotch. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to copy her, so I got to come up with something new, like one good. What are you bringing to our show?
Well, I think in Ed Schultz's mind that he's probably right on the sense that nobody's listening to him, nobody's watching him, or the other networks. So, yeah, if he's talking about the educated conservative people, yeah, we're probably listening more to Fox News and to you and to Prager and Hugh Hewitt, and we're surely not listening to them.
Well, there's still... I appreciate that because we always talk about not just people, but intelligent people. But, Diane Sawyer will still pull in $6 million a night.
That's just because they have money to waste. That's what libs are famous for, is wasting money. So they keep throwing good money after bad. So, it's in his mind, I can see where he's coming from, yeah.
But to sit there and make a claim that conservatives run the media I think that's golden because...
Sam, how many people would have heard that if you wouldn't have brought that up?
True. That's, you know what, you're right. If I hadn't played, right,
yes.
I know. If I hadn't played on the radio television show that goes across the country,
if the conservatives don't bring it up, nobody hears about it. So
the tree that falls in the woods syndrome, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So see?
If we don't play it, no one hears Ed Schultz or Rachel Maddow.
Exactly.
Dee, excellent point as always. Thanks for stopping by the show.
All right. Have a great one.
Will do. Thanks. Bye. That's funny. 7:37. Do me a favor. Get Kerry Lutz standing by. I believe he's on 4, has a financial survival network, joins us live in Houston. Kerry, good morning.
Hello, Sam. It's a pleasure.
Welcome to the show.
Hey.
What wonderfully turbulent times we're living in, Kerry.
Yeah, well, as the Chinese curse goes, may you live in interesting times, and that pretty much sums it up.
Interesting is such a nice way of putting it. It's like the Texans lost last night. Their 6 in a row is interesting. Gosh. What do you foresee coming up storm-wise? Do you think this entire economy is just going to collapse upon itself soon with all these stresses of debt and uncertainty and confusion and quantitative easing?
Yeah, well, it's going to collapse. It's always been just a question of when, not if. They're printing up just so much money, and it just can't go on this way indefinitely. The one thing that we've profited from is the dollar is the best-looking horse in the glue factory, valedictorian of summer school. The rest of the world, is just looking so much worse. Pretty soon things are, the focus right now is how horrible the United States looks, but pretty soon the focus again will shift back to Europe, back to Japan, how awful they look. And, things will start looking pretty good in the United States again. Greece will blow up again, Spain, Italy, Portugal, and, it'll start looking better in the U.S., but it's just a matter of time, really. And, just Obamacare is just icing on the cake, but really there's a kind of inevitability to the whole thing.
Kerry Lutz, from the Financial Survival Network. Do you foresee runs on the bank by within the year 2014? Well,
hard to know because the one thing that they did learn from the Great Depression is that they can't allow bank runs to occur. Then you get, things are different now than they were in the 30s. People are not so nice and civil, and they're just not going to put up with it. Plus, how does a large corporation, what do? They can't just go to the bank and get a cashier's check for $300 million or $1 billion, and then what do they do with it? So bank runs, as we knew them in the 30s, just can't really occur because there's no place to put the money. Where do you go with it? If you bank at too big to fail National Bank on one corner, do you go across the street to the other too big to fail National Bank? There is no place to put your money. So a bank run in the traditional sense is really an impossibility as long as the small depositors get paid off. So that just really can't happen, the traditional bank run. The depositors are insured up to $250,000 and in some cases unlimited. And, that just really can't go on. But international depositors could be moving their money around the globe. Capital controls could be put into place to prevent Americans from moving their money overseas. And you kind of see the beginnings of it now. In fact, you've seen the government go around the globe harassing international banks and stopping them from taking deposits from Americans. If you're an American, it's very difficult to open up an account overseas due to FACTA. You probably talked about it, but they have to report back to the U.S. government, to the IRS. Very difficult to move your money overseas now in different forms.
In a nutshell, and it's a tough question, but in a nutshell, what are people doing, in your opinion, to prepare themselves for the doom and gloom coming around the corner?
Yeah, well, a lot of people put their money into gold and silver, commodities, storing up. They try to marginalize and demonize these hoarders, and they pick out the most extreme people who are living in former missile silos and have dug out. They're living 1,000 feet underground, but some reasonable form of preparation on everyone's behalf is not unreasonable. And, having some gold and silver in your, in a secure place is not unreasonable. Every currency that's not backed by something or other eventually finds its intrinsic value, which is zero. And just look at Zimbabwe, look at Argentina, Weimar Germany. It always happens over and over again. And to think that it can't happen to the United States is really quite naive and is ignoring history.
Kerry Lutz joining us. And that's, that's an interesting point, real quick, is there are the majority of Americans who always have this feeling of, that'll never happen here. To see them line up in the banks in Cyprus, that'll never happen here. And they live in this little bubble, this little safety bubble of, of when you childproof a home. They live in a childproof world.
Yeah, well, a lot of people have said it can never happen here, only to find themselves fleeing and broke and really only having the clothes on their back. And I'm not an extreme prepper, but I just believe, hey, look, you have insurance on your home, you have insurance on your car, you have health insurance, at least for now. How much longer? You probably got a notice of cancellation, or your employer will be dropping you soon. You have life insurance. Why not have currency insurance? And that's all that gold and silver really come down to, is just insurance on the currency.
I liked it. Kerry, thanks for stopping by the show. FinancialSurvivalNetwork.com. Kerry Lutz joining us on the show. Thanks for stopping by.
Pleasure, Sam. Thanks so much.